Hi, I'm Paul Opitz, Senior Product Manager for Radio Products at Unit Corporation, including the HomePatrol-1. I'm here today to talk to you about some great new updates and an upgrade that will soon be available for your Home Patrol. The Home Patrol Extreme update is actually 3 updates in one. We've updated the Home Patrol Sentinel software to include a lot of new features. I'll talk about that in a moment. We've also included many of those features in the free version of the Home Patrol Extreme firmware. And then the paid firmware update adds even more features that are phenomenal. Well, I'll get to those in general in a minute and then in detail in some other videos. So first off, Sentinel. What have we added to the Home Patrol Sentinel software? Full programmability of systems. This includes creating new systems. It includes editing existing systems in a favorites list. It also includes adding some channel options that have not previously been available. Now you're able to set a per channel delay. Any channel can have a delay of 30 seconds, 10 seconds, 5 seconds, 2 seconds, no delay at all. Or you can set a -5 or a -10 delay that will force the Home Patrol to resume scanning if a transmission lasts longer than that duration. We've also added channel alerts so that you're able to be alerted with an audio signal if a channel that you're particularly interested in, becomes active. We've also added the ID search mode so that in a trunk system, you'll be able to monitor channels that aren't even programmed into the database. At the department level, this is where we define the area of coverage or the location for a particular agency. Well, up to now you've been restricted to a single circle per department. And guess what? A lot of departments don't really fit in a circle very well. So with the Home Patrol Sentinel software update, we're allowing you now to define a geographic location using up to 32 rectangles. This really provides some great flexibility in turning on and off systems at the right time depending on your specific location. No more overlap from big circles that are trying to cover small rectangular counties. We've also added some features that go along with the Home Patrol Extreme paid update. So I'll get into those a little bit later when I talk about that part of the update. Some other things that you'll get are the ability to export KML files. Now what a KML file is it's a Google Earth map location points of interest file. So you'll be able to grab a bunch of radio systems locations, export them as a KML file, and then view on a map the location of each of those systems with a little push pin that you can click on to give you more information about that system. So it gives you a great visual representation of the radio systems in your area. You can also share your Sentinel files with friends. So if you, with your favorites list with friends, if you export an HPE file, an HP export file, anybody can then take that file, bring it into Sentinel, and create their own favorites list, or they won't have to create their own favorites list. You've done it for them. We've also added the ability to turn on more than one favorites list at a time. You do this in Sentinel, or you can do it in the Home Patrol itself. This lets you monitor, for example, if you create a favorites list for marine channels, which aren't really tied to a geographic location. If you want to include those while you're also scanning stuff that you've brought in from the database, you can do that now. You can monitor up to 256 favorites lists along with the main database. Now there are some memory limitations that you might hit if your favorites lists are particularly big, but that should be plenty to cover just about everybody's needs. Well, that's it for Sentinel. Now, I've alluded to some of the changes that will happen for everybody in the Home Patrol itself. The ability to select multiple favorites lists. If you've programmed a system using Sentinel using one of the new features like delay, like the channel alert, it also has emergency alert you can set for Motorola systems. So if an officer hits his emergency button, you'll be alerted, you get a special alert tone. All of those features that you can program in Sentinel, your Home Patrol will use. Now here's some really cool stuff. The Home Patrol Extreme paid update adds the ability to completely program any system, create, edit, whatever, in the Home Patrol itself. It also has some great discovery mode features. So the trunk discovery mode, for example, will record the audio for newly found talk group ID. So if a talk group ID is not in the database yet, and the Home Patrol discovers that during a session, it will record the audio so that when you go back to review the session later, you'll be able to tell who was talking and more quickly identify the agency or the operation using that channel. Similarly, for conventional mode, we have a conventional discovery that lets you scan between a set of frequencies, between a pair of frequencies, and any activity on any frequency within that range, it will compare to your current database selection. If it's not in the database, it will record the audio so that you can go back later, review the log, listen to the audio, and determine who's using that channel. And that feature for conventional also records the NAC, the DCS, or the CTCSS tones, the subaudible identifiers. Sometimes you have multiple people, multiple agencies in one area using the same frequency, identified with different subtones. This is a great way to sort that out. It'll also have a trunk system analyzer. This lets you see the control channel information flow on the screen as it happens. You'll be able to see channel grants, you'll be able to see when a radio affiliates with the control system, control tower. And while it's displaying that on the screen, it's also creating a log that you can go back and review and analyze later. Channel activity analyzer, so you can see as channels become active, and again, an activity log is created that you can go back and review later. We've added an EDAX LCN LTR, an EDAX LTR, too many letters, LCN analyzer. So one problem that I've seen referred to many times is when a new EDAX or LTR system goes operational, nobody knows what the logical channel numbers are, and you have to know that information to associate with each frequency in order to get the thing to scan properly. Well, we've added a function that's really cool, and we'll get to it in a later session, that will identify those channels versus frequency associations for you. Let's see, I'm reading from a list. It's just too much to keep in my head. Band scope. We've added a band scope. Now, you've seen band scope on the BCD 396 XT and the BCD 996 XT. Wait till you see it in color. RF power plot. Now, this lets you sit on a single frequency and see the signal strength as it changes over time. So you can imagine if you have a directional antenna and you're watching, you can see when you're pointing toward or away from a particular signal source to help you identify perhaps the location of that signal source. It also helps you diagnose problems with radio antenna configurations, and perhaps also could be an assistance in determining some interference measures or anti-interference measures. We've also added limit search. I'm sure I've left a few things out, but that is plenty for now. Thank you for watching. Be sure to check out our other videos in this series where I go into more detail about each of the new features. See you soon.